what, man, we was talking about John Diesel, man, like he was everything, man. You know what I'm talking about, man? We out here, though, man, for real, man. Big BB, you already know that, man. Fuck with it.
Yeah, you already know what it is. Hey, tell them where you from, though. Tell them where you from,
man,
though.
I'm from B.O.B., nigga. Border Brothers, man. You already know what it is, man. DP Stokely, man. What's happening?
Town business, man.
Town
you
business,
already know.
nigga.
This is my hood out here, boy. Border Brothers.
The time in DC, John Diesel the OG. They put me on TV, I'm running like BG. I'm running the BC, the Ginger was envy. Got something against me. You fuck with him, you fuck with me. You fuck with them, it's straight BB. Big Cat LaFleur, we don't fight fair. Big Cat LaFleur, nah, we don't fight fair.
On Fruitvale and Galindo. For those of y'all that are familiar with this area, man, on Fruitvale, this is the old Centro de Juventud, right? We used to come here. They used to have video games and pool tables up in here. We had a meeting one time, all the Border Brothers. We had a meeting with all the Norteños right here. We were talking a truce, right? Still here, I can't believe it, right? 30 years later, right? We used to cut school from Calvin Simmons to come here. This was a Norteño hangout spot for a long time. It still is, right? But ain't nobody hanging out, right? You know what I'm saying? Gang injunctions. Sanborn Park, the original Sanborn Park. They changed the name to Jose de la Cruz Park. Carmen Flores Recreation Center at Jose de la Cruz Park. They changed the name, but this used to be Sanborn Park, right? Norteño hangout spot, right? They had Gumby's picture with Chris Silva, rest in peace, Chris Silva, from Fruitvale. They had their pictures like in a small mural down at the other entrance, man. It's a whole different scenery now. Not what it used to be. They even got a soccer court, soccer field. You already know what it is, man. John the Hitman Diesel. If you're new to the channel, go and hit that subscribe button, man. Hit that notification button, man, blue. So when I'm on, you're going to know that I'm on, right? And you can come hear me kick some of this real shit, man. You know what I'm saying? So today, I'm going to tell you about the most hated Norteños, Northerners to come up out of Oakland, California, right? Because Oakland Chicano culture history is not really talked about, right? There's a couple videos out there, but there's not too much knowledge or insight that people can get from what's already out there, right? Because there's not much out there. So, and I'm giving you insight from somebody that was really out there on the streets, right? And because I lived in the 30s, so I grew up in Northern Territory. So I know what it is to gang bang against these guys, right? I had Border Brother homeboys in the deep who would come down, get into it with them, and then ride back home. I couldn't. My ride back home was right there in the hood with the Northerners, right? And my neighborhood, 39th Avenue, which was a branch off of DFL, was right there on 39th, and you know, we're surrounded by Northerners, right? So I know firsthand what it is to beef against these dudes. So when I mention these names, other people from the streets will agree with me, because this is not an official list. This is a street list. These are motherfuckers that really had street fame. Lil John had street fame. I was known out there. People used to talk about me. There's stories right now being told about me. People talk about me all the time, right? When I was running around in Oakland doing what I was doing, right? Beefing against these other killers, man. You know what I'm saying? But I want to say that, you know, Gumby, and then you had Che, and you had Bubba. You know, you got quite a few names, but I want to say like the more established Norteño, the more decorated, if I should even use that word, because it sounds like I'm bragging about it, but I'm just saying like one of the most recognized Norteños to come up out of Oakland would be Gumby from Fruitvale, right? Before Gumby, you had a dude named Carlos Bean Parkins from 60s. He used to run the 60s, right? And this is before even all the Border Brothers came around. This is before even I came around, right? You had Carlos Parkins and his crew, the Rolling 60s, right? Carlos Bean, man, straight savage boy, straight gangster.
You had Troy Boy.
But anyhow, I'm talking about my generation, right? Or a couple of years slightly before me. Gumby, because Gumby's a few years older than me still, right? So Gumby, and you got Big Al, Little Rick from East 15th, you got Chef from 54th, right? You got a lot of names that really were street famous game bangers, right? Like I said, I'm on that list. And motherfuckers know I ain't lying, right? So Gumby had relationships with all these Chicano programs, any type of Chicano activists that were out in Oakland making noise on some political shit, right? Dealing with political issues and parks and recreation and all that. Gumby was known amongst that community. Every time it was something about gangs, Gumby would be the one, you know what I'm saying, front line, right? Everybody would go to Gumby, all the news outlets.
He was a spokesman.
Anybody that wanted to, that needed a pass to get through the hood, they'll talk to Gumby, right? Not only that, Gumby's name had came up a few times when it came to police activity, right? You know, his name has popped up on a lot of serious cases, just like mine has, just like my homeboy Norteño, he's on his deathbed shaking probably because he went down with no, he's resting in peace, man. Excuse me, he's resting in peace because, you know, like I said before, if you live by the gun, you're probably gonna die by the gun. And like I said before, this is why I've been shot 8 times. 3 different occasions, man. You think I was out there playing and having fun? I was out there like this, man. Waka, waka, you know what I'm saying? And we was all like that. Like I said before, the dudes that I was beefing with, all them dudes is dead or just came home from doing a long stretch or about to come home from doing 25, 26 years. You know what I'm saying? Like Pelon and Bubba and a couple other motherfuckers that's still down from the gangbanging days and barely about to get another chance at life. Right? So Gumby was always, you know, he put in the work. Gumby has the resume. He has the street resume. He's been to prison. He's been to the feds. Right? So, but from the opposition standpoint, us, the Border Brothers, because that's really all what it was. It was Border Brothers versus Norteños. There wasn't, the Southsiders came way later. We had been beefing versus the Northerners for years before the Southerners came around, right? Officially, right? So from the opposition standpoint, I want to say Gumby was one of the more established names from the street. And I want to say that if anybody's name was to be recognized, it would be Gumby. Not only that, Gumby was real close to another Northerner that died. His name was Chris Silva. They had a picture of Chris Silva and Gumby at the Sanborn Park on the East 16th entrance. Not on the Fruitvale side, but on that entrance, they had a little mural on a little thing like this where they had Gumby's face and Chris Silva's face was up there before they took it down, right? But they're not just going to paint your face somewhere if you're not somebody from the community, right? And like I said before, Gumby was well known in not only in the streets, but he was also known in the political movement with all these political activists, Chicano, you know what I'm saying? Like the Chicano movement. A lot of that stuff died down because everybody just started acting black, man. Shit, that's just the best way I can put it. But even if you listen to Carlos Bean Parkins before in the early 80s, listen to how he sounds.
This is Oakland, buddy. This ain't no Alameda or Hayward or San Leandro or nothing out here. You gotta learn to survive. Only the strong-minded and the fast people survive. Listen to how he speaks. This is him talking, right? We're talking down there 40 years ago. 40 years ago. 40. Listen to how he's talking, right? You don't hear too much cholo in him. But they were cholos, right? They were cholos, right? Gumby was a cholo, you know what I'm saying? Gumby had the dress code down. You know, he always had his Ben Davises, his khakis, he was always creased down. You know, he always had his Lokes on and his Ben Davis shirts and the Dickie shit, and he had the attire, right? And I think that was
what was intriguing to the youngsters, because he was one of the better dressed gangsters out there, to be honest with you. That man was always, you know what I'm saying, creased down. You know, he was always on point. So I know his homeboys looked up to him for that, right? Gumby from Fruitvale, right? Not only that, Gumby had mouthpiece, right? Gumby know how to pop his shit. Gumby and I then had a few incidents where a few times him and I, but there's also been other times where we just happened to be there as well. And we seen each other's faces. Yeah, Gumby was there. They would say, yeah, Lil John was there, right? We ran into a bunch of them type of situations. Mind me, when we were on 39th with Midget from El Monte, the enemy was Gumby and them. Nacho and Lil Oscar and all them from Fruitvale, man. This shit was on site. And we were only like a block over. But prior to all that, Gumby had already been around. Gumby had been around right after the 60s. Gumby's name had popped up on a lot of cases, right? So, and the word got back to the streets, man. Oh yeah, Gumby was there, or Gumby was this, Gumby that, right? So his name was definitely ringing. Gumby from Fruitvale. My respects to that man. Even after all the bullshit, right? We bumped heads in Turlock. He was out in Turlock fucking with it, right? Fucking with the bitches out there, and so was I. We both had females out there. Runners, man. Bitches out there getting money, bringing back dollars, man. We're not, you know what I'm saying? You motherfuckers be rapping about pimping and shit, man. You ain't never had a bitch bring you back a few dollars, man. You niggas be lying on these rap songs, man. You niggas be straight lying. Nigga, I came to Oakland with Gumby from Fruitvale with some hoes out of Turlock, and we put them out there on a stroll on 36 and E14. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. Gumby was a Mac. You know, and I've always been a Mac. You know, I've always been about popping my shit, man. I've always been about all on the bitch, AOB, man. All on the bitch, right? It's always been that with me. That's been the model. Ever since we stopped gangbanging, that's been the model, you know? And I stopped gangbanging, you know, my gangbanging career was kind of short, but in the time that I did gangbang, boy, yeah. Okay, and I did a lot of YA time. I did a lot of jail time too, right? So my prison background speaks for itself, right? This is why, if you see the comment section, you're gonna see motherfuckers that know me, or they'll say what's up, or you know, motherfuckers that really know what's going on with the diesel, motherfuckers that know what really went on with me on the street, right? But Gumby, I want to say, probably was the most hated, you know, coming from the ops, right? Not only that, Fruitvale used to beef with East 15th when it was north on north. And Quince would probably, I want to say that Quince would probably say the same thing, that Gumby was the name that would pop up the most when it came down to them, right? You know, every gang had their hitters, man. You know what I'm saying? And it just happened to be that Gumby had a presence in Oakland because he stood out. Not only that, he was 6 foot and some change, right? Big, tall motherfucker, right? And like I said, when you're on the street and your name keeps popping up on some of these heavy duty cases, and you're like, man, you know, shit, you know, that's as far as I'm gonna go with that, right? But you know, like I said before, we went from being rivals, and I'm talking about like rivals, nigga. I'm not talking about no little YouTube punk shit going back and forth. I'm talking about blapping out, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about clapping out, man. You know what I'm saying? Blapping out. You know what I'm saying? Shit like that. And we overcame all that because addiction came into play. The heroin came into play. And the pimping and the money shit came into effect. And we was out in Turlock fucking with it. I was out there fucking with this broad. And when I pulled up to her house, Gumby was there. I was fucking with this broad in Turlock. And when I pulled up to the bitch house, Gumby was there. Gumby from Fruitvale, from Oakland, all the way in Turlock. You know what I'm saying? He kind of was surprised when he seen me, right? Because it's 20 plus years then passed, I want to say. We've always had this, but we never had a conversation face to face at a close distance. And it was a trip talking to your enemy someone that you know that you guys was really trying to knock each other down, right? But like I said before, we were already a little bit older now. We were on some grown man shit now. We're trying to get money. We're trying to get high. We're trying to fuck with these bitches, right? We're trying to get money off these bitches, right? And that's what it was. So like I said before, we was out there macking at these bitches out there, right? And so, you know, we went from being rivals to being able to get along, right? And I seen him on 39th, you know. Thank God that man ain't doing life, because he's just like me. We shouldn't even be free. You know what I'm saying? We're breathing. This is air that's given to us right now. This air that we're breathing. It's like I feel like I'm just borrowing this shit, right? Because, man, I'm not supposed to be out here. Niggas know I'm supposed to be put away for the rest of my life. But I'm out here, thank God, man.
People should be dead, though.
And like I said, I'm not doing these videos trying to glamorize the lifestyle. I'm just giving you guys Chicano history from Oakland, California, right? Sanborn Park was a Norteño area on Fruitvale, right? And that was one of the hangouts for the Norteños, Fruitvale, right? So FPG is one of the gangs that's been around for a long time. And as a matter of fact, it was FPG that kicked off the war with the Border Brothers in Oakland, because it was a member from the Fruitvale gang that went and knocked down the first Border Brother on 94th and 8th Street. My homeboy, rest in peace, Fito, right? You know, that man was from Fruitvale Gangsters, Norteño, Northerner, and went and knocked down my homeboy, right? The retaliation hit that I've talked about in the past was Omar from Westside Berkeley. My homeboy from Long Beach, you know what I'm saying? Blew one side of his face off, right? On some street shit, right? And that was like the retaliation shit. And that happened, they killed my homeboy Fito. And then Bago from Long Beach went and did that holler. He got busted for it, did 4 years in YA, and came home. You know what I'm saying? You know, he was from Longo, right? But the word was that the Border Brothers had did that, right? And so those were like the first two hollers that ever happened in Oakland. And like I said before, Gumby's name has popped up in a lot of situations, boy. And like I said, I'm glad that man is free. You know, if he ain't doing life now, I don't think he'll ever do life, man, just like me. Unless we end up doing something to somebody now. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be cool, though, man. I'm trying to enjoy these last few years on the street, man. But you just never know, man. But yeah, like I said before, Gumby, you know, he was pretty known in Oakland, right? Not only from the streets, but he was known from, the police knew who he was, and all the activists from Chicano programs, Chicano centers, they all knew of him, and they always would want to go talk to him when it came to gang intervention. They would always talk to him, right? Like I said, he had the mouthpiece, man. But anyhow, with that being said, man, shout out to Gumby from Fruitvale, man. And but yeah, he was the most hated, man. I want to say he's probably one of the most hated to ever come out of Oakland, man. Northerner, Norteño.